Episode 9, The Mist Village and the Ghost in the Necklace. Still half dazed, I scrambled back into the tent and shook the others awake. Luong, get up. Everyone, wake up. Go outside and look. The fog's come in. You can't see anything. Luong opened one eye and groaned. It's still early, and there's always fog here. It's nearly 7 in the morning, and this is nothing like the usual dew. Nothing. The words, nearly 7, brought Luong upright. The others followed. He stepped outside, stood in the white blankness, and was quiet for a long moment. Even a person as confident as Luong had never seen anything like this. Less than a meter away, shapes dissolved into nothing. What in hell? Stay inside, everyone. Don't go anywhere. Wait for the sun to rise and it'll burn off. Nothing to worry about. This forest is famous for its fog. He said it calmly, but I could see him looking around. He had never seen it this bad either. While we waited, someone began counting. Hey, is someone missing? Luong looked around. Missing? Who's missing? Luong. I haven't seen him since I woke up. Luong went still. He searched the tent from end to end. Then he counted 1, 2, 3, 4. Himself 5. That was right. There were 5. Luong was not here. He didn't take the gold and leave, did he? Luong lunged for the pack. The gold was still inside, untouched. But Luong was nowhere. We all rushed out into the fog, calling in different directions. Luong, Luong. Where are you? No answer. Only our own voices coming back at us from the white. We split up, each of us moving carefully outward from the tent, close enough to the camp to hear the signal voice and find our way back. I went toward the lake. The sound of running water helped me keep my bearing. I reached the bank, looked carefully in every direction, and there was nothing, just the lake surface with fog floating on top of it. The scene eerily beautiful in the worst possible way. Crack, crack. Bushes behind me. I spun around. Luong, is that you? No answer. Then, from somewhere else entirely, a scream. Luong's voice. Help! Save me! Everyone, help! I turned and ran back toward camp, following the voice of the person left behind to serve as our anchor. 2 of the others had already returned. Only Luong was missing. We ran in the direction of his screaming, toward the wild chicken trap Luong had found the day before. When we got there, we found Luong on the ground at the base of a tree. He was alive. Beside him was the trap. A chicken had been caught in it overnight. The bent bamboo spring now released and upright. The wire loop around the bird's legs and neck. The whole thing hanging upside down just off the ground. I helped Luong up. Are you hurt? What happened? His face was the color of old wood. He was staring upward and could not speak. He raised one hand and pointed at the sky. I looked up. The fog was thick enough that we hadn't noticed it at first, but now as we looked up into the white, it began to resolve, slowly, horribly, into something that had been hanging there all along. Above the tree branch, hidden in the mist, a noose, a body hanging from it. One foot had a shoe, the other was bare. The skin was purple and stiff. When a gust of wind moved through, the body swayed slowly. The fog cleared briefly from the base of the tree. And in that moment, I saw Luong's face. He was hanging from the branch by his neck. Blood had run from his eyes, his nostrils, his ears, His mouth run and dried and turned black, all of it. His eyes were bulging and fixed downward, locked in the last expression his face had ever made. He seemed to be looking directly at us. And then I looked at the trap hanging beside him, the dead chicken upside down, swinging, and the similarity between the two of them hit me so hard I nearly lost my legs. Even Luong, reckless, unshakable Luong, was sitting on the ground, unable to move. But that was only the beginning. Meow, meow, meow. A stray cat had been coming to Mr. Moong's house lately, appearing each night somewhere in the yard. It didn't cause trouble. One morning, Mr. Moong had turned on the backyard light and found it crouched over a rat. The restaurant attracted vermin. It was inevitable, so he'd welcomed the cat. But now, in the quiet dark of the woodshed, hearing it cry from somewhere nearby, Mr. Moong felt his entire body go rigid with cold. He looked down to find his son had been gripping his arm tightly enough to leave marks, all the blood gone from Fenn's face. "You're hurting my arm. Let go." Fenn released him and swallowed hard. I wasn't scared. I'm not scared. It was just the cat that startled me. My dad, did you see my goosebumps? Mr. Moong sighed. You don't have to explain yourself to me. My own hands are sweating. Go check the kitchen. Make sure the cat hasn't gotten into anything. If you gave me money to walk out that door right now, I still say no, which was the honest answer, and the same one Mr. Moong would have given. In the end, neither of them went anywhere because they were both too afraid to leave the woodshed, and they both knew it, and neither one would admit it first. Fenn found a compromise. The furniture is all covered. There's nothing a cat could get into. Yes, this cat only catches mice. It's fine. They settled back into their chairs. Neither of them mentioned the fear. Instead, Mr. Moong quickly asked Tuak, "Why did the Luong hang himself? You were all drinking together that same evening?" Tuak replied, "I didn't say he committed suicide. Luong was killed. The room went very quiet. My instincts were right from the beginning. Those eyes in the darkness, they were real. We were not alone in that forest. And the things that were watching us, they were not human, not in the way that matters." Master Luong asked, "After finding Luong's body, you encountered the people of the Mist Village?" Tuak nodded. "Those are the ones. They look like people, but inside each of them lives something else." Fenn said, "What happened after?" "Keep going." We were still standing there, unable to move. The fog hadn't lifted. And then we were attacked. He sank back into the memory. Luong's body was still hanging above us. None of us had touched him yet. Luong was on the ground. We were all frozen. Bang! Out of the fog, a spear flew past at head height and buried itself in the tree trunk just beside where Luong hung. Then the howling started. Not animal, not human either. Something between the two, coming from everywhere at once, from inside the fog itself. Howl, howl, howl. One of us screamed, "Run, run, there's something out there." More spears followed. A dozen at once, whistling through the fog toward our position. Somehow, in the thickness of the mist, they missed. But our tent was already burning. I could see the orange glow through the white haze, the fire getting larger. I grabbed Kuong's arm and hauled him upright. We have to go, right now. Can you run? Kuong looked at me without recognition for a moment. Then he nodded. Find the stream, I said to everyone. If we can reach the water, we can navigate out. We ran. The howling came after us, and behind the howling came footsteps. Fast. Too fast. Too light for the size of the sound they made. I ran toward where the stream should have been, following the sound of running water. But the harder we ran toward it, the more distant it seemed to become. The terrain shifted underfoot in ways I couldn't account for. In the fog, everything was wrong. We ran until our feet bled. I was half carrying Kuong, who had gone somewhere inside himself and couldn't fully be reached. Somewhere in the fog, the howling stopped and the footsteps faded. The fog began to thin. We stopped. I looked up at the sky, or rather at the canopy of ancient trees so thick above us that the sky itself was invisible. We were standing in a forest unlike anything we'd passed through before. The trees here were enormous, each trunk wide enough that 5 people could put their arms around it. Massive vines clung to everything. The ground underfoot was soft and dark and soaked, not the rocky forest floor we've been walking on for months. One of the group said softly, "Does anyone else hear that?" "The running water," I said. "We've been running toward it since we started." He said nothing more. He walked toward a low rise ahead of us, climbed it, turned back, and burst out laughing. A strange, cracked laugh, too loud for the quiet. "There's a stream, right here. There's water." We helped Luong to the bank and knelt down and drank from our cupped hands. The cold water helped. We caught our breath. Then one of the men lifted something from the stream bed. He held it up to the light that filtered through the canopy. Iridescent, metallic yellow. His mouth shook. Is this gold?" I picked one up myself, turned it over in my palm. My hands were trembling. "If we're naming this stream," I said slowly, "we'd have to call it Sui Vong." And everyone around me started laughing and crying at the same time. The relief and the horror and the gold all mixed together, not making sense of anything. Master Wong said, "From the way you're describing it, the place you ended up in sounds completely unlike anywhere you'd been before." Tuwok nodded. It was as if we'd crossed into a different world. I can't explain it any other way. We'd spent nearly a year in Shimbak. We knew how the forest looked there, how it felt underfoot, how the light came through the trees. And suddenly, none of that was true anymore. Ancient trees no one could put their arms around, ground that felt like soft moss, and that stream, unlike any stream we'd seen. Later I understood. We had set foot inside the Mist Village's territory. Mr. Moon breathed, so the village is real. Real, and exactly as rumored in every way that matters. A mysterious place, a hidden place, but not a paradise. The opposite of a paradise. A place where demons live wearing the faces of men. He let the silence hold for a moment, then continued. Not long after we found the gold, the howling started again. We let our guard down completely, thought we'd lost them. We hadn't. That sound, everyone stopped. Leave the gold. Kuong woke up from wherever he'd gone. He was disoriented, looking at the stream and the trees. Not remembering how we gotten there, I grabbed him by the front of his shirt and pulled him to his feet. Are you awake? We have to run. Now. Can you go on your own? Luong nodded, unsteady but moving. One of the others said, Run where? We don't know where we are. At least along the stream. No, I said. We have to lose them first, into the forest, harder to follow, easier to hide. Once we're clear of them, we figure out the rest. We turned and ran into the trees. We ran for a long time. The howling fell away. The footsteps fell away. Eventually, we couldn't run anymore. We stopped and sat on the ground where we were. Luong, when he'd fully come back to himself, was quiet for a while. Then, where did we find the gold? Did anyone bring it? I stared at him. That's what you're thinking about? He met my eyes. Something passed across his face that might have been shame, quickly buried. I put everyone here in danger, he said. I know that. Buon is dead. I know that too. If I'd listened to you. He stopped. I still have my grandfather's talisman, he said after a moment. He told me when our lives were in danger, the talisman would help us. When I went into this forest, I thought about getting lost. So the talisman I'm wearing isn't just protection. It's a way for my grandfather to find me. A connection. We open it. And then we follow what it tells us. The group looked at him. In the middle of all of that, the dead friend, the unknown forest, the creatures behind us. Hope was a powerful thing, even if it was fragile. Luong reached inside his shirt. His hand came out empty. He tried again, both hands now searching his entire torso. Nothing. The night before going to sleep, as he always did, he had taken the talisman off and hung it on the branch above the tent. He had not had time to put it back on in the morning. In the chaos of Buong's disappearance, the fog, the screaming, the running, the tent was already burning when we left. The talisman had burned with it. Luong's face went ashen. No one spoke. I looked at the people around me. Luong, the others, all of us sitting in an unfamiliar forest with no supplies, no compass, no bearings, and something that wanted to kill us still somewhere in the trees. I didn't have the energy left to blame anyone. Luong himself had been the one standing in front of Buong's body, unable to move. I said quietly, "It's over. Without the talisman, without food or water or tools, we're going to die here." A voice from the other side of the group said, "Everyone, come look at this." We got up and walked toward the sound. In the middle of the forest, standing among the old trees and the dense undergrowth, a stilt house, raised on wooden posts, the wood dark with age and half eaten by rot, forest vines growing over and through every surface. It looked as though no one had lived there for many years. The person who'd found it said quietly, "I've checked. No one's home. At least we have a roof tonight." We climbed up together. I moved carefully through the interior, looking at everything. In the corner of the main room, against all expectation, a single blanket woven from hemp fiber, gray with age and covered in mold. Beside it, a few bowls and chopsticks, a wooden food container, all of it furred with green. While I was touching them, a fire cracked to life. One of the group had found tinder and dry firewood in the corner and gotten a flame going. He blew it steady and laughed. Old house, but someone left supplies. The food's rotted, but the fire materials are dry. That's enough for tonight. Sleep. We'll figure out the rest at daybreak. I leaned into the corner next to Kwong and said, I'm sorry for what I said earlier. You didn't mean for any of this. Kwong replied, I put everyone here. Luong died because of the path I chose. You don't have to apologize for anything. If there's a way out, it's on me to find it. He paused. But I still need everyone to be strong. Sleep was the only thing left to take. I pulled the hemp blanket over myself and felt something underneath it. On the floor, between two boards, I reached down and found a thin silver necklace. No way to know whose it was or how it had come to be left in this place. I had no energy to think about it. I put it around my neck, and the moment I lay back down, I smelled something faint. Flowers, maybe, or something older and harder to name, and I was asleep before I could finish the thought. Outside, in the dark, torches encircled the house, bright and steady, as silent as the fog. When I woke up, Tuok said, we were locked in a cage, and that place was the Mist Village. Cough, cough. Tuok doubled over, a fit of rough coughing shaking through him. Master Luong reached over and checked his pulse, then said, That's enough for tonight. Your body is still fighting off toxins. Sleep now. I'll have medicine ready when you wake. Mr. Mong and Fen's eyes were still wide. Neither of them wanted to stop listening. Outside, the sky had already begun to pale. Mr. Mong said, He's right. Rest. I'll cook something good for you in the morning. The rest of the story can wait. Fen stood up, grimacing as feeling returned to his legs. He had been sitting in one position too long, so absorbed in the story that he hadn't noticed. Tuok thanked everyone and lay down. He was asleep within moments. Finn asked permission to go to bed. Mr. Moon told him to go. The shop would be closed again today. Master Wong sat by the stove, adjusting the flame under a pot of medicine, working in the quiet. Mr. Moon sat across from him and didn't speak for a while. Then, softly, I don't understand something. Tuok said there were 6 of them. 1 died. That leaves 4 others still unaccounted for. If they're all dead, how did he make it out? And if they aren't all dead, where are they? Master Luong answered without looking up. The ghost story I can't speak to, but I can tell you why he's alive. Do you remember what I said about the necklace? Mr. Moong nodded. We just heard it. Tuok found that silver necklace on the floor of an abandoned stilt house and put it on before he went to sleep. While I was breaking the worm spell, I sensed another presence in him, a soul, very weak, barely there, but present. The owner of that necklace died in that house, and some part of their soul remained attached to it. Perhaps they died without warning. Perhaps they never knew they had died. Such souls do not move on. They drift. They become attached to objects they cared about in life, and those objects carry them. Mr. Moon said quietly, So the necklace he's wearing, there's a ghost inside it. In the simplest terms, yes. But this is not a malicious spirit. This is a soul that is lost and suffering and has been waiting for something for a very long time. And while it waited, it kept the worm at bay. The poison goo worm should have consumed Tuak within weeks of entering his body. It didn't. Something held it back. That something was the soul in the necklace. Even dying, even barely there, it protected him. That is what I found remarkable. Mr. Mong sat quietly for a moment. Can you help that soul? Move it on. Master Luong looked at the fire. That is exactly what I want to do. I need to hear the rest of Tuak's story first. Whatever happened in that village, the soul in the necklace was there. The soul belongs to someone who died in that place, or very close to it. Until I understand the whole picture, I can't do anything, but I intend to try. Mr. Moon looked at the old man across from him. This person who had come in off the road as a stranger, cured a hopeless case of dark arts poisoning. I was now sitting in the kitchen at 4 a.m, thinking about how to help a ghost find his way home, and he didn't quite have the words for what he felt. I've lived a long time, he said at last. You're the finest person I've ever met. Master Luong smiled gently and shook his head. Don't say that. There are things I've done that you would think very differently of if you knew. And there's one more thing I should tell you about your family. Mr. Moon blinked. About Fen? Your son is under a love charm. Mr. Moon went very still. He repeated it back, one word at a time. You said, my son was put under a love charm? I've suspected it for a few days, but tonight I can say it with certainty. The charm is said to take effect after 3 a.m, activating when the target is asleep. A few hours ago, before Fen went to bed, his eyes reddened slightly. The irises had narrowed and gone yellow. That is the mark of someone under enchantment. And over the past several days, I've noticed he disappears every afternoon somewhere nearby. On the days the shop kept him too busy to go, he became restless and distracted. Master Luong rose and then said to Mr. Mong, if you don't believe me, come and see. They moved quietly to the bedroom. Fun lay on his back, deeply asleep, but as soon as Mr. Mong leaned close, he heard his son murmuring, very softly, not quite words, the sound a person makes when they're deep inside a dream. Ahian. So pretty. Huh? Huh? Hi. Hi. Ahian. Master Luong gently lifted the corner of Finn's blanket, while Mr. Moon saw beneath it, made him reach out to slap his son awake. Master Luong caught his arm. He shook his head once, firmly. They went back outside. Mr. Mong was breathing hard. His face had gone from red to pale. Is it dangerous? I've heard that love charms can drive a person mad. There are many kinds of love charms, Master Luong replied. Some are more dangerous than others. Some are cast with the spellmaker's own life as surety, but this one is not at that level. As long as nothing crosses the limit, it can still be broken. Mr. Mong asked slowly, what is the limit? Master Luong was quiet for a moment. That's why I've been thinking carefully. This is the kind of place where it's truly said, Sun, the water, ghost of peace. Even in a small town like this, there are people who know how to work charms. The interesting thing is, based on what I've observed, the person who casts this spell has only limited knowledge. They're not a skilled practitioner. Think of it like medicine. A real physician can treat serious disease. A village herbalist treats common colds. This person is the herbalist. Don't worry too much. I'm already watching, and I have a plan. What I need you to do first, when Finn wakes up, find a way to ask him casually who showed him the trick with the dog blood. But do not, under any circumstances, let him know I suspect him of being enchanted. Mr. Moong's hand shook as he poured the water. The limit? What did you mean by that? It sounded like a man's name. Master Luong replied. That's exactly what worries me. People say it truly. Sun, la water, goes to peace. In this small town, dark arts are not unheard of. And the person I'm speaking of, they know what they're doing, even if they're not especially skilled at it. Mr. Moong said, You think someone nearby cast this on my son? Not a suspicion, a certainty. His unusual behavior began only 4 days ago. Before that, nothing. In those 4 days, he hasn't gone far, just around this town. If he had been enchanted by someone from outside, the timing doesn't fit. So the person who cast the spell is nearby. He paused, then said, What do you know about someone named Ahian? Mr. Moong pressed his temples and thought hard. Hien. There's a person here named Hien. She runs a small inn not far from here. She's older than me, actually. Her husband died a few years ago. Opium, I heard. He was just skin and bones at the end. She has money. That family used to grow opium, but 5 or so years ago, the area moved away from it. She built the inn for travelers coming through on the way to the forest. Could she? But if she's the one, why does Finn call her Ahian? That sounds like a young person's name. Master Luong said, I've met the landlady of that inn, but when I was there, I also saw a man living with her. A boarder or a lover, who knows? Was she afraid of ghosts? Very much so. The night you found Tuok in the market and brought him to her door, she turned you away the moment she saw him. A woman that frightened of strange things wouldn't dare cast spells on anyone. Exactly what I thought. Master Luong nodded. So, who showed Fen the trick with the dog blood? Mr. Moong put it together quickly. It wasn't me. He disappeared all the morning that day. By evening he came back and told me what he'd seen, that he suspected you of tormenting Tuak, and in the middle of the night he produced the dog blood and the garlic strings from somewhere, and told me to wear one around my neck. I have no idea where he got any of it. Master Luong said if he had come to that himself, he wouldn't have known to mix actual spiritual energy into the dog blood. What Fen threw at me wasn't ordinary dog blood. It had something in it. Whoever told him what to do knows at least a little about exorcism. I believe that same person cast a charm on him. When Fen wakes up, steer the conversation toward who gave him those instructions. Do it gently. Don't raise suspicion. Then come and tell me who it was. After that, keep him home. Don't let him leave the house this afternoon. If I tell him not to go out, he'll fight me on it. How do I stop him without... I'll give you some herbs to put in his food. He'll sleep through the afternoon without knowing anything happened. Ha ha ha. Mr. Moong decided to close the restaurant for the day. He lay in his chair and tried not to imagine his son dreaming whatever he'd been dreaming under that blanket. Then he got up, went to the stove, and started the morning porridge. When Finn came down, he found his father cleaning tables. Finn sat across from him, taking the day off again. Dad? Yes, I wanted to talk to you. I've been feeling guilty about the dog blood incident. Uncle Luong's a patient person, and he doesn't hold grudges. But doing something wrong and being forgiven doesn't make it not have happened. That night almost cost Tuok his life. Finn bowed his head. I know I'm going to cook something nice for Mr. Tuok when he's better. Make it up properly. But whose idea was that whole business? You're not usually the type to plan something like that yourself. Finn scratched his head. It wasn't my idea, exactly. A friend of mine, Dong, took me to a fortune teller. I described what I'd seen, and she told me the man staying in our house was possessed by a ghost. When I asked how to deal with it, she said to throw dog blood on him at midnight. Mr. Mung kept his voice level. A fortune teller. There are only 2 shamans in this area, and they do funerals and offerings. I've never heard of a fortune teller here. Finn said, she just moved here 2 weeks ago. She's a relative of Dong's. Where's her house? Finn looked at his father with sudden suspicion. You're not going there to cause trouble, are you? It's over, Dad. I'm just asking. Have I ever caused trouble with anyone? Fine. Forget it. Here, I made meat porridge. Eat. Finn ate. He stopped after a few spoonfuls. This tastes unusual. Did you add something? It's a bit like medicine. Mr. Moon kept his face neutral. A tonic. Good for you. Finish it. Finn didn't argue. He finished the bowl. By the time he was reaching for a second helping, his eyes were already closing. He shook his head to clear it. Why am I suddenly so... I just woke up. Mr. Mong yawned loudly once, twice, and stretched. Me too. Go lie down if you're tired. I'll clean up. Finn made it to the bed in time to fall onto it. Within seconds, he was breathing heavily. Mr. Moon stood in the doorway, watching him, and shook his head. If you knew what I was doing this for, you wouldn't be angry with me. Stay asleep a little longer, son. He left to find Dong. Dong, a young man from a family Mr. Mung knew, was not hard to locate. With the simple incentive of a few coins and the story about needing spiritual guidance, Dong led him straight to the gate of the fortune teller's house. A woman named Hong. Mr. Mung memorized the location and went directly back. He burst into the woodshed, still catching his breath. Master Luong bent. I found her. Master Luong set down his bowl and poured Mr. Mung some water. That quickly. Who is it? Mr. Mung emptied the glass in one go and sat down. A fortune teller who moved here recently. She's the one who told Finn to use dog blood. But it must have been this Ahian person who asked her to cast the charm on my son, right? And he's been meeting this person at noon every day too. I'm sure of it. Master Luong smiled slyly and stood up. He looked at Thuok. Finish that porridge and the medicine. Rest. I'll be back shortly. Don't force yourself to remember things while I'm gone. Mr. Moong stood up too. Where are we going? Master Luong replied. Where else? To visit the person who cast the charm on your son. Where else would we be going? But shouldn't we prepare something first? This person is not skilled. I have a few questions and a few doubts. Let's go. I think there is something here that is not what it appears to be.